Lynn.
Here.
Ms. Lynch.
Here.
Ms. McCulloch. Mr. Pearson.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Thibodeau.
Here.
Have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll have our invocation by Mr. Ken Epperson, and the chair will do the pledge of allegiance. Everybody please stand, please.
Father God, once again, thank you for allowing us to be in the land of the living. We thank you for your glorious Son, Jesus Christ, the great Redeemer. We ask your blessings upon this deliberation today in behalf of parish government. We also ask your blessings upon our national government. We ask your blessings upon our soldiers that are fighting throughout the world. We also ask a special blessing for Dr. Joseph and Mrs. Thelma Carter, who's fighting for catastrophic illness. These and other blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, please face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Have a motion to adopt minutes, May 8th.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch, second by Commissioner Pearson. Any questions? If not, please vote. Special resolutions.
Yes, sir, we do.
Family come forward. Come forward. Family come forward. The family come forward. Have his family come forward.
Yes.
Family come forward to him, Mr. Margaret.
This is a resolution of remembrance of Mr. Lloyd E. Jones. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission notes with much regret the sudden and untimely passing of a member of the Commission family, Public Works employee Lloyd E. Jones, who departed this life on March 3rd, 2008, age of 61. And whereas the Commission now joins with family, friends, and associates to reflect upon his life and his contributions and to gauge the depth of the loss that will be felt through his absence. And whereas Lloyd Jones was a native of Arkansas who spent much of his life in Caddo Parish, he was a 9-year veteran of the U.S. Navy, serving aboard the USS El Dorado and the USS Thomaston during the Vietnam era. In October, he retired from the last 16 years. He operated his own trucking company. Following the example of his father and all of his brothers, found employment at Caddo Parish in June of 2007. And whereas Lloyd Jones was a multifaceted, multi-talented man who possessed many abilities and mastered many skills. Heavy equipment operator, truck driver, mechanic, bondsman, electronics repairman, handyman, and next-level pool shooter. He also found time to hunt and fish, but like all people who have melodies and rhythms pounding in their every pulse, the constant part of his life was music. During the course of his life, he made music all over the place, playing lead and bass guitar and singing as a member of several bands. And whereas Lloyd is fondly remembered by his co-workers at the Public Works North Camp for his positive and cheerful attitude, his stability, and for the insight and skill he brought to the job. The respect and affection he held for his job mates was amply returned. Just prior to his tragic death, he had been voted by his fellow workers as their Caddo Parish Commission Employee Council representative. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission this 22nd day of May 2008 that it does hereby express on behalf of all members of the Caddo Parish family a solemn and heartfelt sense of loss at the passing of Lloyd E. Jones. It further resolved that the Commission does extend to the family and friends of Mr. Jones its most sincere expressions of condolence and regret and the assurance that he will be missed.
So moved. Second. Without exception.
Wanted to tell everybody thank you and how wonderful Caddo Parish has been since the loss of my husband. Y'all are just wonderful, wonderful people. Thank each and every one of you very much.
Hello, Commissioner.
All right. Communication reports, Mr. Spears.
Yes, sir. First, the administration response to commission request information.
President Cox and Commissioners, I just have just one piece of information for you. I placed at your stations a copy of the Mineral Board, the most recent report we got from the Mineral Board on the 19 acres of property we sold this recently. And I also provided you a copy of all the bids that we received on that 19 acre land. And also, I'm pleased to announce to you all that I did receive the check for $145,744 day before yesterday in royalty payments for the 19 acres of mineral rights to our property that we just recently dealt with the Mineral Board on. And we got top dollar. We got $7,557 per acre. And as you can see, a highlight for you on the attachment, we received below is $250 to $500 to $4,000, up to $7,557. So the state mineral board chose the highest offer, and hopefully this will continue to be the trend as we go forward. That's my report, sir.
Yep. Short and sweet today, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I have a question. Was any research done on putting an exemption on the adjudicated property?
Yes, sir.
What was able to happen with that?
Commissioner Lynn, as I've mentioned to a couple other commissioners, I think, indicated y'all Monday that I was going to have an answer to that question by the middle of next week. And,
Okay.
And I've really tried to have an answer to you by today's meeting, but I couldn't do it. One reason I can't by today is because hopefully the city will agree with what our opinion is, because the city is in partnership with y'all on these things. The city signs the deeds as well as y'all do, and it wouldn't be too productive if we had different opinions. And so the bottom line is my commitment to you is still by the middle of next week to get something to you, probably by email, so that you would have time to consider it before your next meeting, when I know you're going to have several of these items on your agenda.
Thank you.
I've got Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Epperson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. That was one of the questions that I was wanting to ask also. But in addition to that, while we're on the subject of what this is all about, I see someone left at my desk a copy of resolution number 16 of 2008, which to my recollection may have been a resolution that we had tabled or asked to be tabled until we received some more information on the terms of our leases on parish property, and some more information on rather this process that we talked about in session on 19th, which is going through the Department of Natural Resources, as whether or not that process was the best process to go. And I was just wondering, I mean, why is this being brought back up? Why's been left at the commissioner's table for resolution number 16? It deals with I think about 70 some odd acres of property. If my recollection serves me right, I
It's
mean,
not on the agenda. I don't see it on the agenda.
it was left here along with ordinance number 4772. I think all the commissioners probably. Did you all get this?
Yeah, I have it. I asked for 4770.
Look, organizers right now.
It's a copy of a resolution. I do plan to bring it up in new business.
Okay, new bid. Okay,
Yeah, I
all right.
plan to bring it up in new business.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just, I know at one point we had asked that it be taken.
Yeah.
And, I'm not adverse to take another look at it now that I've got more information out of what was explained in the meeting on May 19th. I was wondering, how did it get back? How did it get back here? And so I understand that The second thing that I want to ask about, Mr. President, is the income that is coming from the mineral leases. And I believe we've been told that the monies are going into the general fund. And I want to express some concern about that, as opposed to these monies may be going, into a separate account or another fund. I don't want to make a rash decision about it. And I just want to suggest, Mr. President, that maybe our Ways and Means Committee may need to take a look at this kind of income that is coming in from this type of activity, make something about what we have in the future.
I can assure you that not only you, but a few other commissioners have already talked about that, and we will address that in the very near future and start mapping out who, what, when, and where. And we'll address that hopefully within the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I have Mr. Wait. Could the control room turn the volume up in the audience just a hair?
Thank you. I can't hear either.
Mr. Epperson, Mr. Thibodeau, and if the commissioners wouldn't mind, speak up a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jenkins, I too have a concern about that, about where those funds are going right now, and I was going to ask the chairman if he would direct that to the Ways and Means Committee, and we have an opportunity to discuss looking at something like maybe in somewhere dedicated or set aside. Secondly, Mr. Wilson, I'd like to thank you for relinquishing the balance of the funds for the emergency aid funds that's administered by Caddo Community Action Agency. There was a fire in an apartment complex on Uri Drive. You all may have read about it, where the lady lost, I think, 2 of her children, as well as some other losses there. And several of those individuals sought help at the American Red Cross and Caddo Community Action Agency, which they rendered them what they had at that particular time. And but we appreciate you releasing the balance of those funds. So they were able to help those individuals. They helped them get furniture, food, and then the Red Cross also helped. So we thank you for that. Also, the Timberline Homeowners Association, in conjunction with myself, did an informative meeting for the citizens within the District 12 and surrounding areas relative to the oil and gas leasing letters that had been received. I might say it was overwhelming, and Mr. Jimmy Whittington from our staff came out to, I wanted to let the individuals know exactly what the parish was doing with the data that you provided us a couple of weeks ago as far as the leasing that we received from 2003 to 2007 and the process that the parish is going by with the parish properties. We wanted to ensure that those individuals didn't leave the meeting with any misinformation in reference to the parish's responsibility. I might say that there were a couple of things that came up where he was interjected into the meeting, and we set the record straight with factual information where no one would leave there with the wrong information. So we appreciate that. That's all I have.
Okay, before we head, I have Mr. Thibodeau, Ms. Lynch, and Mr. Dominic. Let's go ahead and get the next item on our communication reports. A letter to resume from Lake. Mr. Spears.
It's a letter and resume from the Lakeview Waterworks Board recommending Mr. J.D. Campbell as a member of the board.
Okay.
Got who replaces me.
All right. Now I have Mr. Thibodeau, Ms. Lynch, and Mr. Dominic. Mr. Thibodeau.
Just as a note of interest for those who are interested in the oil and gas money, I'm in the process of trying to put together an ordinance what would put that money into the reserve trust account until the commission would determine how it should be best spent. So I'll submit that once it's put together to Ways and Means, and I'm sure anybody else has ideas will do the same. But I think we need to put it somewhere where we can think about it for a little while before we go.
Vice President Lynch.
About what he said, he had already cashed that check. I don't know if that one, that last one's coming.
The money's in the bank.
I wanted to, first of all, commend Commissioner Epperson on his meeting. I got a chance to stop by on my way to another meeting the other day, and I'm not good at estimating numbers, but there were probably several hundred people there. I mean, cars were lined up and down Pines Road for quite a distance, and so the people are hungry for the information, and certainly want to commend him and the Timberline Homeowners Association for putting that on. The meeting last night here on the master plan, Roy and Charles Kirkland and that group certainly did a wonderful job. Another great turnout. The chambers were packed with citizens, giving input, and so we want to thank you all for that. I wanted to make a request to get a copy, Mr. Wilson, of all executive orders that you've issued since you've been the administrator. I have a concern that there are some budgetary issues that can be done by executive order that may not come through the commission, and I just want to make sure that I understand that process. And so if you've issued any.
Only one.
One?
You received that the last time?
Yeah, but I think that preceded you, the one that I have.
Oh, this one, the one that we talked about, the change in process for the capital projects.
The only one that you've done.
Yes, ma'am, the only one.
But there are some that you're still operating off of that have been put in place prior to?
Yes, ma'am. We can dig those up if you like.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Dominic, and then Ms. McCullough.
I had one announcement to make. First of all, I wanted to, this is concerning on June 7th, there's going to be a giant Sylvania Awareness Day to be put on at the Earl Williamson Park in Oil City. And I wanted to thank Larry Raymond, who is our Parks Director, has been working with the Louisiana Greater Caddo Lake Association to put this on. The funds that are going to be used are some of the funds that we received from the grant from the NACO that Mr. Raymond received, and also AEP SWEPCO is going to help out to do that. The time is from 8 to 1 p.m. We're going to have different speakers. I think everybody is aware of the giant Sylvania problem. We're going to have people coming from Bossier and Webster Parish, because this is something we've got to work together on, guys. Lake Bistineau is having problems. We all are. But this is Awareness Day to hopefully inform the public, but also to have a good time. Lunch will be provided at noon. There's going to be some children's activities, so please bring your children. And there's going to be speakers from 10 to 11:30 and a question and answer time. Time for all of us to learn more about giant Sylvania. So I hope some of you guys get to come to see y'all on June 7th, or anybody else can open to the public at the Earl Williamson Park, and hope to see y'all there. Y'all are supposed to get a letter, and each of you guys, Mr. Raymond has informed me he has sent you a letter invitation to this, so hope to see you there.
Apologize. Ms. McCullough.
Yes, Commissioner Lynch, in reference to was that like a public hearing yesterday in reference to the master plan?
Yes.
Okay. Were any notes or any type reports taken of that meeting?
Got it on DVD.
Have it on
Would
DVD?
you come, Mr. Jumbo, would you?
I'd asked for it to be taped, and I think it was.
Give us a brief overview of yesterday.
And it's not just yesterday.
2 minutes.
In addition to transcribing the DVD and cataloging all the comments, we expect and have already received many of them in writing, email, faxes, and all those sort of things. I've even been cataloging the comments that have been on the Times blog. You know, the idea is to be as inclusive as we can. We encourage comments from all sources like that. And transcribing the DVD and cataloging that information is just one of the many things. But yeah, we'll publish it and make it available to anybody that wants to see it. It's all public information.
Public information?
Absolutely.
I mean, who would I get the copy from of the DVD?
From us.
From you? From you?
Well, I mean, anybody in our office once it's done.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Wilson,
Yes, ma'am.
in regards to this appointment for the Waterworks District, I'll just maybe later under new business ask that we add this to today's agenda to be voted on effective immediately.
Address that to the chair.
You need to address that to the commission itself, not Mr. Wilson.
Well, will I do that now or under new business?
Under new business.
Thank you, sir.
That it?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Mr. Escudate.
Just briefly like to report that the Space Utilization Committee met today with regards to safety issues concerning Government Plaza. Here we had a very, very productive meeting, covered it in detail. I believe that we will be making recommendations to each of you as soon as we can get our collective recommendations together. I believe that we have addressed the needs of the building so that it can be secure for staff and for those who are in the building and come into the building without being a burden or a major inconvenience to the general public. These recommendations will be forthcoming. Our intention is to get them to you as soon as possible so that you can have time to look over them before we set up on the agenda for a meeting for us to debate and approve them. As a side note, ultimately, I feel it's a consensus of the committee that met, and from talking to council members, that just about everything we have will be something that will work for them, and hopefully everybody can be happy. We can accomplish what we want to accomplish with minimum expense and intrusion and inconvenience to ourselves or the employees of the city or the parish or the citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Pearson.
Just in reference to that, Commissioner Escudé, do you think that that would be something, a topic for discussion in our intergovernmental committees, not the general meeting, but the committee meeting, and come out of that with some direction in regards to, it's a good way to get input from the city.
Carl, we could do that, but the thing is that intergovernmental committee is made up of school board members as well, and we'd be discussing something on that agenda that really has no interest to them. I know that the committee members who were present today, Mr. Lynn, Mr. Jenkins, myself, not only have I been to the city meeting that Ms. Bowman had, I've talked to most of the city council and all. I think we can do this. I think if we take what we have and we debate it and sign off on it, I believe it's going to be in line with what the city council wants without delaying the process and like I said, taking it to the intergovernmental committee meeting. If the members of that committee feel like that's where they want to take it, they can. I just don't feel like that's necessary, and I don't feel like that's the quickest route. We can certainly, if they want to discuss it, they can. Like I said, the school board sits in on that, and that's really something that we don't all three have in common.
Well, I wasn't really trying to delay anything. I just thought that when we established those groups with common interests and common concerns, and knowing that there were times when we would be talking about concerns that either one or the other group would not necessarily have to buy in on, but if we made the contacts and we're ready to go with it, then that's fine. I just think that, we did form that group, and we want to try to make sure that that group is active, and if not, then we don't need to have it.
That group is active, and we have other things on our agenda. What we're talking about with the intergovernmental committee is new ideas and new grounds and new areas where we can work together. There are two groups. The city council has a group with regards to building usage, and so does the parish. Now, these groups met in the past actively when this building was purchased and its design and usage and were being discussed. I actually chaired that committee at that time, worked with commission staff as well as the former mayor and CAO on acquiring this building and setting that all up. And at that time, we addressed those common issues we had. This is something that has to do really with the operation of this building. So basically, we're running it through the same committees that decided currently where we are today for the expediency purposes. The city council, Commissioner Bowman's meeting, we're meeting, we can get it all together. So it's not new ground, it's not new things that we're trying to, it's just a matter of housekeeping issue that's come up that really hadn't come up in several years. Next question,
Kinda.
Okay.
Mr. Smith and Mr. Epperson. Mr. Smith.
I agree with Mr. Pearson. I don't think we will be reporting to the Intergovernmental Committee, but I still think it would be wise and helpful to at least inform them of commission thinking. Even though they don't approve it, I still think it would be a good partnership for us all to be on the same page and wavelength. So I would encourage us to make that report at the meeting.
Okay. Mr. Epperson.
Mr. Yesterday, I'm sure that once you get your meeting, your minutes of this meeting transcribed, you're going to send the city councils copies, the same as which I think they had a meeting where we weren't there, but we got copies. So therefore, what we read from that initial meeting that you all had, I think helped formulate into what we were doing. Matter of fact, you spoke in regard that you figured we'd have something when Sheriff Prater and Chief Whitehorn came down. So I think that would basically take care of that need on that light. So that's what I wanted to add in reference to that. I think you're going about it the right way. Once you get your minutes transcribed, send a copy to Ms. Bowman, they can disseminate it. And you've been talking with the city council people, and I think we can move forward from there. And if I could, Mr. Chairman of the Space Utilization Committee, could we have an evaluation of this sound system? It appears as though we keep having problems with the sound system. I think that's very important.
I think Mr. Wilson can probably handle that without going through
Okay, well, somebody put it on the
well.
agenda. I think it needs to be done because this has been going on, about 5 or 6, ever since I've been here.
Well, and so many committees use these things, and they're done this, and every time I watch Joe shine, he does this. So, yeah, I imagine you can get a technician to look at that. Mr. Escadade.
Mr. Epperson, I appreciate your comments. Since the time that this came about, Mr. Bowman and the City Council, their committee has had a meeting. It was Tuesday, which we were invited to, and I believe Commissioner Lynn and Lynch and Jenkins and myself attended. So we're very in tune with what they want, as you said, with these details. What I propose to do, what I'm going to do, is we're going to give Commissioner Bowman a copy of our notes as soon as we get them. The work that we did today will come before us as soon as possible so that we can go through them collectively at a work session and debate them and maybe add or take something away so that we can come up with a finished product to present to the City Council. And I believe that on all parts, we're very, very, very close to this. Thank you.
All right, at this time I see no other commissioners. Okay, we'll move forward. Make a motion, or we'll take a motion to suspend the rules.
Use that.
All right, our first guest today is Mr. Jimmy Cuvion. If you will, please come up, please, sir. State your name, address for the record, and 3 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes, sir.
Jimmy Cuvion, 9950 Mansfield Road, Keithville, Louisiana, zip code 71047. We have this subject that I want to talk to you about today is basically about the oil and gas issue. We have a well in Keithville that we are monitoring. We're reading the gauges. We know this well is producing 5 million cubic feet a day. Now, that number, when you divide it by 640 and you go through the process of $10 per 1,000 cubic feet and a fifth royalty, it's producing $468 an acre a month. So 100 acres in our area, landowners, we got a lot of them, they're looking at $46,801 a month for 100 acres. I took some rough numbers from Tim, and I think between us we're close on nothing but Parish right-of-way in south of I-20. On these numbers here, the Parish will be receiving $936,000. So that's about a fifth of your budget at $60 million. So while these are only numbers, and I have a friend that reads these gauges, and so this number is a good number. So I just wanted to say that we're in for a major amount of money coming into South Caddo Parish. And how far that's going to go north, we don't know yet. But We need to be thinking about economic development. We need to be thinking about programs on how we can use this money to increase the revenues of Caddo Parish. So I do urge you to separate and have an oil and gas fund. I'm not saying that you need to have it appropriated, but I mean, you need to know how much money is coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And Jimmy, I know you're going to adopt me when you hit the big one, right?
No, I'm first.
Wait a minute. Are you paying taxes on that already? All right. All right. One. Mr. Westmoreland. Hello, sir.
I'm just here on the,
Okay, well, I'll put you to the side. Thank you, sir. Mr. Dale Nix, Jr. Please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Dale Nix Jr., P.O. 595, Morning Sport, 71060. I'm in reference to adjudicated property. I started 4 years ago trying to buy a piece of property in Morning Sport that the roof has fallen in, and our town fathers there have really been trying to get this cleaned up. It actually belongs to you, the parish. I submitted my money 4 years ago. Through my sickness, I had to shut down for a while, for a little over a year, due to a kidney transplant. But I was assured a month and a half ago that this would be finalized, and I would, if no one else bid on it, it would be closed June the 5th. And y'all passed some type of resolution or something a few weeks ago to put this on hold until you found out about whether the minerals was going to y'all or whatever. I can't understand how we can put this on hold when I'm already in the process abiding by the rules and regulations that you submitted to me and other people of what is required by us to put the money up in the appraisals and so forth that I've got. I would just like you to please consider redoing that where we close this out, because I'd like to get the building cleaned up in Morning Sport for the safety of our citizens and the appearance of our community. I put the money up. I wasn't looking at the oil and gas leases. Nothing is mentioned in the paperwork that I originally sent the money in regarding oil and gas leases. I can see you starting that procedure the following day to put new people that put up money that want to buy adjudicated property, but I just can't see how you can do that to me or any others that are in the process already getting ready to finalize when I'm guaranteed it's going to be closed by June the 5th if I'm a high bidder. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, and our last card is Mr. Mike Maternin. Mike here? Hey, Mike. Would please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
I was told I'd have 8 minutes.
Well, after your 3 minutes, you can have to request more time for it.
Okay, my name is Maternin, 174 Rustic Way, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. The purpose of my being here is to vent some frustration, to let you know how I feel about this situation. And Mr. McCassell, my next door neighbor, we have lived in this area for almost 30 years. Prior to our purchasing that property, 49 did not exist. After 49 was built, it became a dam, and we live in a little fishbowl now where all the water gathers coming through the parish from Fort Lucas Road south from 49 to Wallace Lake Road, and it gathers in my backyard. I'm frustrated, gentlemen. I'm put out, and I'm tired of being lied to. I'm tired of being told to look at, and I'm tired of people saying it's somebody else's problem. It's my problem. I understand that. I live there. But the Caddo Parish refuses to do anything about the water drainage coming from Fort Lucas south. They not only refuse to do anything about it, they keep adding to the problem. On Mayo Road, which you are now is under construction, excuse me, they recently put another culvert in to move the water south. That culvert today is half full of water and still not an active culvert. The people of this parish put it in there. Now they're asking the people that are above us to sign a servitude so they can push the water faster into my backyard. I'm tired of this. I want it fixed. I want somebody to take some responsibility. Every building that you build from Burt Coons south pushes water in my yard. Every building. From Burt Coons on, from Home Depot on Burt Coons south, which is about 2.2, 2.3 miles, you got a long, narrow drainage ditch running around the east side of I-49. There's one culvert, I should say three. There's three 6x6 culverts that run under 49. This is where the problem is. This is where all the water's backing up. This is where it's coming from. We've contacted the state. We've contacted the parish. We've contacted Smith. We've contacted McQuarrie. I've contacted the people that are responsible for the departments in this parish, and nothing is getting done. This is 15 years of this. Am I frustrated? Am I angry? Yeah, I'm upset. The natural drainage from Forney Lucas south comes through two ponds. One is behind Whitaker's construction, which has just been enlarged, which should help, but it doesn't, because it pushes the water into Panic Pond on Mayo Road. Panic Pond on Mayo Road has a housing construction project going on it. Now, I'm told by the people in the parish that you cannot mess with natural water drainage. I'm told that they can't clean that ditch out because it's against the law. But yet that pond has been reduced in size by over a third. Nobody seems to care. Why is that? Why can these people build these projects and put more money in their pocket and push their trash in my backyard? Somebody needs to answer that question for me.
Okay, let me stop you there. Your first 3 minutes are up. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Without exception. You have an additional 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Pushing that water from the Mayo Road pond down through there, they said they raised the level of that pond so it'll hold more water. Actually, they raised the level of the pond water by raising the dirt around the backside of the pond, and they elevated the backside of the pond so water drains into the pond quicker. Now, they created themselves a problem because this last flood last week put the water all up in the major yard where, not Gene, Mr. Smith used to live, and all that water got pushed up there. Now, keep in mind your new construction project, the money you're spending on Mayo Road. It washes out the bridge underneath it. All that water came back around the west side of that pond, back down into the drainage ditch, back through my backyard. Normally, prior to this, when it rained, we flooded when it was raining. This time, when it stopped raining, about 15 minutes later, our yards flooded. Our yards flooded when there was no rain falling. Now, what does that mean? That means that the water from Forney Lucas, Wallace Lake Road, I-49 is coming back through our yard. I've got pictures of previous floods if you guys are interested in seeing them. Now, I've said I've been misled by the state parish, and I have, because you told me that you can't do a servitude in there. This is a copy of a servitude that we had August 2000. They said, we'll come in and we'll clean that out for you. They came in, they went across Mr. Mayo's land, which is the land between our land and I-49, dug the ditch out to Gary's property, and said, oh my God, I smell sewage. Well, of course you smell sewage. Our septic systems have been there for 15 years. We can't do that anymore. Picked their equipment up and left. We still have the same problem in our backyard. The parish wouldn't continue their work. Not only did they not discontinue their work, they turned us into the health department. Cost us $5,000 to get new septic systems. When are we going to get some help from you people? When are you going to do that we pay taxes for to get done? I don't see any effort on anybody's part to help the taxpaying citizen in this area. I see it on Mayo Road. I see all those people getting done what they want done. The state's the same way. The state says it's a parish problem, the parish says it's a state problem. Again, the pond, which is primarily the main problem, we were told that it was a high-impact dam problem, that dam needed to be built. The state wrote a letter to Mr. Smith, which I believe eventually put him in bankruptcy because it was $270,000 to build that dam, never got done, said that this has got to be taken care of to handle this water. I now have a letter from the state that now says it's a minor pond and they're not going to build the dam. What are we supposed to do?
Okay, no, not being inconsiderate to you, you said you needed 8 minutes. You got one more minute, and that'll be 8 minutes. So.
Oh yeah, I get to keep going, huh?
I'm going to give you one more minute. Yes,
okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I was on servitude. The servitude that we had to replace our septic systems with. Now, we're told that you can't do that. But I want to know, if we can't do that, how can they go to our neighbors on Mayo Road and ask them to sign a servitude to clean that ditch out? How can you do that? I don't understand that, gentlemen. That's a contradiction. You either can do it or you can't, one way or the other. And if you can, get their butts down there and get our ditch cleaned out. Get that water out of our yard. Thank you for your time.
sir. Without talking out of order real quick, Tim, if I can see you after the meeting, and which is this your area? If we can get together and do a little powwow after the meeting, I sure would appreciate you.
I'll have a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I was getting with Tim and your commissioner. Oh, okay. I have no other cards except for the one that was for the zoning.
Move to go back in the regular session.
Second.
And without exception, we're back into public hearing zoning cases. Mr. Spears?
Yes, sir. One, P308, ordinance 4767, JDR Delta, applicant to rezone property west side of Broad Acres Road from RA to I-1, light industry for proposed tractor trailer repair.
All right. At this time, is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this? Please state your name, address.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Jeff Westmoreland. My address is 333 Texas Street, Suite 2350, Shreveport, Louisiana 71101. I am an attorney representing JDR Delta, which you may know as Twin City Truck and Trailer Service on Broad Acres Road. We've been before you see on a zoning change from RA to I-1. What simply happened was when they got the property, a small sliver on the side furthest away from I-20 was not zoned I-1. They thought the entire piece was, and so we made a motion to move that to I-1 because they are going to expand their tractor trailer. They have a facility right now who repairs the refrigerated tractor trailers. The refrigeration systems in there, and they are going to expand to build a building. Provide the commission with copies of all of those plans, probably more than you want to read. But in order to do that, this new building moves into that piece of their land which is essentially on the north side of their property that was RA, and to move it to I-1. And then basically the MPC asked for some screen fencing abutting any residential use, which is on the back side. Again, there's a part on the back side of, or the north side of the property that is RA, which my clients have been willing to do. They're going to build a privacy fence there. And asked to put some landscaping on the side of the building that faces I-20, as that's part of the gateway into Shreveport, and they asked them to do that just to provide some greenery, which they've agreed to do as well. So it's a fairly simple plan, and it's just to expand their operations there. I don't believe that anybody spoke in opposition at the MPC hearing, and I'd be glad, and I've spoken to Commissioner Epperson about it, sent him a package. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
We can't ask you, at this time, there's no question and answer, but if we need to, we'll bring you back another time.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak on behalf of this? At this time, is there anyone here to speak against it? Okay, next, Mr. Spears.
Okay, that concludes the public hearing on zoning cases. Next, you have public hearing on your ordinances. First one being ordinance 4768, authorizes the administrator to execute an act of donation of adjudicated property through the Christian Services Program.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this? Is there anyone here to speak against this? Mr. Spears?
Ordinance 4769 authorizes the administrator to execute an act of donation of adjudicated property to Paradise Baptist Church.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of this? Is there anyone here to speak against this? Mr. Spears?
Next, ordinance 4770 amends the Code of Ordinances relative to limited access gates.
Is there anyone here to speak against this? Anyone here to speak for this? Mr. Spears?
Yes, sir. Next, we move back to zoning ordinances for final passage, that being in regard to zoning case P3, ordinance 4767.
Move for passage.
Have a motion to move by Commissioner Jenkins, second by Commissioner Epperson, and Coach. Mr. Pearson. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Yes.
And I apologize. Well, you didn't. I didn't see you. Did you want to speak on it?
Yes, I just want.
You didn't register. So.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying it didn't show up.
Okay. I'd just like to say there was no opposition. This was well publicized in the area. It's an existing business. They are well located away from any residential structures, and everything looks good over there. It's going to be contiguous with what they have going on now. So that's why I'm in favor of this.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, please vote. Apologize to Mr. Epperson and Mr. Blair. And that passes.
We're not going to ask where.
That'd be a good question. Next, Mr. Spears.
Yes, sir. Go back to the previous ordinances for final passages. First being ordinance 4768, adjudicated property to Christian Services.
So move.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Pearson, second by Vice President Lynch. Any discussion? Mr. Escadade?
I'd like to offer a substitute motion that we delay action on this until we can opinion from our parish attorney with regards to mineral rights. If I can get a second, I'd like to speak on it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Escadade, second by Commissioner Smith. Go ahead and speak on your motion.
I'll just delay this until our next meeting, which time Mr. Brett will have the information to ask about in regards to these mineral rights. The next two ordinances and their use to these organizations are certainly worthy. I have no problem with them. The thing that's weighing on my mind at this time is active donation of a public asset is one thing, and the property obvious asset. What may be beneath the property now come to light is a different issue for me. I think and as a matter of fiduciary responsibility, I want all the facts and details before we do this. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I have Mr. Epperson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, I think up on Monday, I had the same sentiments as you had as to reserving mineral rights. However, after thinking about it within those few days that passed, and also after hearing from the gentleman, I respectfully will have to vote against your substitute motion, because to me it would basically appear as though we've changed the rules as the game went along. And I think it would only be fair, and let's just face the fact, and my concerns also is that we haven't thought of this even in the past. Until we hear this boom that's going to hit here with the oil and gas. However, I will not be saying that I won't be amenable to something of this nature in the future. And when I say future, I think we should give the citizens a chance to speak in behalf of this. And my saying on future, if we institute a process like that during the act of donation for adjudicated property, be they to private individuals or non-profit organizations, I would probably entertain something like that becoming effective, say, the 1st of January 2009. That way, I think, we will have well publicized the expectations. A number of people has had this process in effect for a number of months, and that rule was not in play at that particular time once they instituted in accordance with our policy that we have in place. And I just, after thinking about that and hearing this gentleman, I just don't think it would be fair to do that at this particular time. So with all due respect, I will vote against your substitute motion. I just want to let you know that. Thank you.
I have Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Jenkins.
I too want to concur with what Commissioner Epperson said. I joined with you, Mr. Escudé, concerning this, and I feel the same way that you do, that we need to get some more information as soon as we can about this. But I think to hold these up at this stage in the middle of where they are probably be somewhat unfair to the organizations who are looking forward to receiving it and have went through what we required them to do. So, and I regret that I didn't get a chance to enlighten you of my change of heart before we got in here today. I do regret that. I really do.
Mr. Thibodeau.
To ask the maker of the substitute motion, does your motion only have to do with donations versus individuals who have, for example, the speaker talked about putting up his own money over a 4-year period, and then I assume he was going to buy the property for whatever the bid was?
Very good question.
There would be a difference.
My motion is dealing with the donation.
With donations
In Mr.
only?
Nix's case, I agree. We shouldn't change the rules. The more I've thought about this, and he's actually satisfying the tax liability on this property. The recipients of the donated property aren't satisfying anything. They're just receiving an asset of the people. And so I think that's a whole different ballgame. But as far as Mr. Nix is concerned, I see his point. His point's well taken, and he is making whole the liability, the tax liability on that property. I'm talking specifically about property which is donated.
Okay, good. I can support the substitute motion on donated property, but not on property where people have put their money up.
Well, I have Mr. Escudé.
I'm out.
Okay. Ms. Lynch?
I'm going to offer a substitute motion to proceed with the donation of this property with us reserving our mineral rights.
Second.
I have another motion. And go ahead and repeat your motion, because I want
To
to make sure.
donate the property with the reservation of the mineral rights
Okay.
to the parish.
Okay.
And I want to speak on that.
And it's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Lynn, and speak on your motion.
Let me just say, we don't donate property just as a matter of business that often, and the purpose is not so that we can get money back. I mean, a lot of times these properties are adjacent to churches or to nonprofits that are going to benefit not from the parish necessarily getting money, but from raising the standards of the community or programs in the community. And so I don't think there's a huge difference, other than, there's a difference between money and there's a difference between service. But there's some benefit to the parish under both scenarios. And I still think, even with reserving the mineral rights, that we are changing horses midstream. A lot of these applications have been in for quite some time. It's a long process. The adjudicated property program is a long process. And I think to deny them at this point is just not fair until we decide exactly what we're going to do. We're assuming that we're going to do something that we have not actually decided to do. We don't know if it's legal. We've not. There are some other agencies that are involved, and we're kind of putting the cart before the horse. But I don't have a problem with us putting that caveat on these, but not to just take them out of the loop altogether.
All right, Mr. Jenkins?
On the substitute motion just made by Ms. Lynch, I would just simply say you ought to wait and get the appropriate legal advice on that, and not just make that decision without getting appropriate legal advice on the validity if we can do that. We're talking about adjudicated property, and there may be some issues there that really may prohibit us from doing what we're talking about doing at all. So I'm just simply saying, we either ought to go forward with these that are already went through the process and do something in the future, as opposed to today make a decision to reserve the rights, and we don't know if there could be some prohibitions or drawbacks to doing it.
Mr. Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that was part and parcel of my point as well, is that we don't really know whether or not, I think one of the reasons to delay originally was that we needed the information of whether or not we could do something with the mineral rights. So to pass a motion, to offer a motion to go forward and hold on to the mineral rights is something we don't know whether or not we can do. Other thing is for consideration is that we are not the only beneficiaries, and we are not the only folks who sign off on the contracts for adjudicated property. We got the city and other taxing agencies who may not agree with what we are talking about doing now. I mean, I find it hard to believe that people won't agree with accepting money, but it could well be that, depending upon the politics of the situation, that there are other taxing bodies who may want to just go forth with the donation. I like Commissioner Epperson's idea. I don't know if I would, wait until January, but we could put together something at a later meeting, maybe saying that all applications received before July 1 will be carried through the way they've always been. By that time, we should have whatever information that legal can bring us, and then the applications after July 1 will have the caveat I mean, we could bring something like that forth once we find out what our legal abilities are. So as for me, I'm going to vote against both the substitute motions and then vote for hopefully the motion to go forward with the donation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Lynch.
Well, the problem with having lawyers on the commission.
He was thinking very loudly.
And Charles is real quiet.
I asked Charles a question yet.
That was just an attempt to try to alleviate the concerns of my colleagues about the mineral rights case. I fully support that we not change horses midstream and that we allow these properties to go forward, and so I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Okay.
If you withdraw yourself.
Withdraw it. No,
okay. Mr. Escudé.
Okay.
Stop your motion, speak to my motion. Mr. Epperson brings up a good point about switching gears in midstream. But once again, I want to reiterate, Nix's case, to me, is different. Buying the property basically for its tax interest. The others are acts of donation. And I understand they may have done the application process and they may have a use for this property. But for us to wait a couple of weeks for them to be able to do that, I don't think is foolhardy. You say, well, we've always done it this way in the past. That's right. Nobody's thought about this in the past. Well, now we've been made aware of it. So do we just say, okay, we have to ignore the fact that maybe there's new circumstances, maybe there's something else we need to do different, and say, well, since we always did it that way and since this was in the process, we just forget about that or not? I mean, I don't know. We're talking about the donation of a public asset. And before this information, these questions were raised, we acted in good faith. Now I know different. I've had some questions, and I can't act in good faith because I'm not satisfied in my mind as to what the answers to these questions are. So I'm saying, where's the urgency? Where's the smoking gun to do this? And as case in point, as example, to bring this up, Mr. Epperson, I think, can relate to this. He was around then. I think he's the only one. I remember when the administration brought to us 15 years ago when the casinos were being built, and they said, I was at Isle of Caprice in Caddo Parish, and I'm going, whoa, man, they've opened a big can of worms now because it was all in Bossier. Well, we couldn't proceed and ignore that information once it came to light without investigating and finding out.
Should
And I
have.
feel the same way. Well, we did open up a can of worms. But, okay, it is what it is, and it had to take its natural course, Carl. I couldn't put my head in the sand then, and I can't now. And we're talking about donating property to good organizations, and I don't have any problem with that. I won't have any problem doing it 2 weeks from now once these questions are answered. But I can't ignore the new information, new questions have been raised, and I can't support it at this time. There will be a day and time, I assure you, 2 weeks from now or later, regardless of what Mr. Grubb says, or what the opinion that comes down that he says with regards to these middle rights, doesn't matter one way or the other, I will support this act of donation. But I can't do it today just on that basis. And I hope you understand that, and it's not mean-spirited, but I need this because I know better now. I got to take pause and have a little bit of caution. But let me find out before I do anything. Thank you.
At this time, the chair would like to ask Mr. Whittington to come up. I've got a question. Just off the top of your head, and we're talking about adjudicated properties and stuff like that. What is the process, and how long does the process take from start to finish to get an adjudicated property either donated or bought?
A lot of it depends on the applicant, whether they're applying for sale or donation. I mean,
They split them up one at a time.
It's the same process, exactly the same, but a lot of it is dependent upon them because we send a letter requesting either some funds or a title report or an appraisal and things like that, and a lot of it's dependent on how quick they get us that information back. Typically, it should run you about 6 to 8 months. Now, you recall that we came back to y'all maybe last month, and in order to shorten some of that correspondence back and forth, that we upped the application fee to $200 from $100, and that extra $100 was basically an advance on the advertising and the notification cost. And that just saves us from having to send them a letter saying, send me $15 so I can send out 3 certified letters. We just go ahead and do it, and then we'll settle the account at the closing. Typically about 8 months.
Okay, and this is a off-the-wall question, but how many applicants do we have right now?
Over 1,100 that are somewhere in the process.
Okay, all right. That answered my question. Ms. Lynch?
Which one of the things that I think, regardless of what the decision is going to be, we have to decide what's going to be the cutoff point. I mean, are we going to go back, or are we going to start at a certain point and go forward? And, and what's fair to these applicants as well as those 1,100. And I think what we have today, I'm just saying I don't think it would be fair on these properties to hold them up. I mean, we're going to have to decide at some point what's the cutoff. I mean, is it today? Are we going to make it retro, or are we going to go forward? And I don't think there's any harm that could be done if these go through today. So, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Call for question, please.
The question has been called, and Mr. Epson, did you second that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's vote on the call for the question.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
for the record, I need to know who seconded Mr. Escudet's.
Mr. Epperson?
On the, Mr.
On Mr. Smith's call for the question.
Alternate motion.
I must know who seconded my substitute motion.
Mike Thibodeau.
Okay, thank you.
Lynn, was it
No,
Lynn?
Commissioner Lynn did, I'm
Lynn.
sorry.
Okay.
I seconded Stephanie's.
No, I think Commissioner Thibodeau, because he asked the question whether or not the motion he seconded referred to donations.
Didn't second the motion. Actually, Commissioner Lynn did. You don't remember it. You did. You seconded my motion.
Okay.
I second
The
your
original
Stan
motion, yeah, the original motion you did second. Okay.
Okay.
But the vote right now,
It's on the
and,
substitute motion.
well, you dropped your substitute motion.
Right, it's on
The subs-
Escadades of substitute.
And repeat your motion, because I'll be honest with you.
My motion was to delay action on these two ordinances until our next meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Did you get a second? You did get a second. Okay.
For Lynn.
You sure that was the original motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Everybody, please vote.
Help me pay attention. I can say anything I want.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
It's
recall or whatever they do in the NBA or whatever.
all right. Put it up on the screen, please, sir, or please, ma'am. 2, 3, 4, 5. And
No, 6-5.
1, 2 is 6-5.
Damn.
Okay.
Pearson, your vote is not showing, Pearson.
Well, it's got to, because I voted.
Okay, Ms. Pearson, if you would,
Not going to show now. The vote is ended, sir.
I voted no.
Okay, it failed.
all right, that all right. Next, Mr.
Okay. Next is ordinance 4769, donation.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Donation adjudicated property Paradise.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner Pearson. Any questions? If not, please vote.
Ms. Lynch, I have to put it in. Now you can cast the second.
Oh, okay.
Wait, Ms. McCullough, please.
Wait till she come, wait till it come out.
Okay, you
Please
all
vote. And that passes.
4770, amend your code of ordinances relative to limited access gates.
Request that that be moved to June 5th meeting for final passage.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved to postpone, second by Commissioner Escadade. Any questions? If not, please vote. And that passed. And that's passed to postpone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And that passes. Any old business, Mr. Speaker? All right, new business, I believe Ms. McCullough wanted to bring up new business. Wait a minute, let's do this the right way. I have Mr. Dominic, then Ms. McCullough on the screen.
I'd like to ask permission or make a motion to bring up a matter concerning ordinance number 4772.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Without exception, please go ahead, sir.
I'd like to reintroduce ordinance number 4772 as for an introduction by title, so we continue to move with this. This is the ordinance. Well, that's my motion.
Okay.
Please say. Yeah.
You already had a second.
Okay. Who's my second?
Mr. Thibodeau. Mr. Thibodeau, would you like to speak on it since you were the second? Okay.
This is the
Point of
most.
information, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
President, I think that the first order of business needs to be a vote to amend the agenda. Under the open meetings law requires a two-thirds, require a vote of 8 people.
I'd like to, can I back up then?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to allow me to introduce ordinance number 4772.
Second.
Have a motion to amend the agenda, and it's been moved by Commissioner Dominic, second by Commissioner Lynn. Everybody please vote. And that passes.
I'd like to make a motion to 4772, and
Been moved and seconded. And with that exception by the chair, please go ahead and speak on your motion.
this is the ordinance that Mr. Nick spoke about earlier, and I've spoken to several of y'all about this. This is the one that was pulled, and this would be for introduction by title today so that it can move forward and be finalized on June 5th, including all those properties that were listed on 4772. And I'd like to continue with that.
All right.
Well, it wouldn't be final, would it, Mr. Grubb? On June 5th?
Got to be publicized.
Be final on June 20,
Introduced today, it'd be finalized June 5th.
and introduce it.
As I appreciate it, this is the one that the public hearing was already called for to take place
right.
on June 5th. So if it's introduced today, as I appreciate it, it'd be available for final passage on the 5th.
Actually, you'd just be moving it to the June 5th agenda is all you're doing. If it's already advertised for public hearing, just
Well, except that the ordinance has never been introduced, but it's never gone through first reading or introduction by the commission. So I think that's what Commissioner Dominic's intent is today.
To have the first reading today. Let me give it to you?
One of us
you
is
can
missing
get it in
something.
your Caddo Citizen for publication within 3 days. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm talking about here, I mean, for reading. If it was Tuesday, it would have been just like any other ordinance.
But to be a public notice, and with us having the Caddo Citizen, that fine
No.
paper.
It was published Tuesday, just like it normally, Monday. When we had our meeting Monday, unless it was pulled for some reason,
It was published because it's a weekly paper. In order to get 2 weeks, we had to publish it on Monday.
Oh, we pulled it. Had this not been tabled, we would have voted on it.
Copy of it here?
No, we'd voted, it'd just been for introduction today.
It's on the,
It would have been just for introduction today.
That's right.
Monday's
It's on
agenda.
Monday's agenda.
it was on Monday's agenda.
Yes, but we have not had okay. All right, go ahead. Public hearing on June 5th.
We just need to have the reading, first
Okay.
reading today.
The clerk, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that, I'm sorry, the weekly official journal was advertised in advance of just your work session on Monday where it was pulled. So if I'm correct, Mr. Clerk, Mr. Dominic's motion would be in order from a legal standpoint because the advertisement the advertisement of the introduction of the ordinance and the public hearing to take place at the next meeting is actually in the process of running. Is that right?
So we'll proceed that way.
So basically, it was like we never pulled it.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Okay, we're good.
We're good, let's go.
We have a motion on the floor, and I have 3 commissioners to speak. I have Mr. McCullough, Mr. Pearson, Mr. Jenkins.
No, I got no business.
Okay, so that's not pertaining to this. Ms. McCullough, is this pertaining to this?
New business.
Okay. All right, so we can vote on your motion that has a second.
I did have a
I
second.
should be on the box.
Sir?
I believe I'm up, aren't I?
Well, okay, Mr. Jenkins, were you speaking on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was just trying to get some clarification. We had pulled this for the same reasons about getting some information on reservation of mineral rights. That's the only reason we did that, right?
That's correct. But can I speak on that further?
Yes, sir.
I don't think that's going to make a difference, at least is my understanding talking to Mr. Grubb, because he indicates that he should have his opinion on whether we have to reserve or whether we should or shouldn't reserve. So there's no sense in it should not do any harm by introducing this today, and June 5th, we can come back and have the public hearing at that time, and voting on that. And I mean, I don't know if Mr. Escudé or someone wants to make a motion at that time to reserve the mineral rights. I guess they'll have a chance to do that, and we'll know more and have the opinion from Mr. Grubb at that time. But I'm trying to get this on a fast track so we can get this property hopefully to Mr. Nix, just like it was promised to him, to be able to purchase it on June 6th. If we pull it and don't introduce it today, we're going to be introducing this thing on June 5th, and then our next meeting, June 15th or whenever it is, we'd actually have a final passage. And he's been told, and he's waited 3 years to try to get this property, and I want to move it forward.
And I'm in agreement with you on anything that's pending right now.
And it is
under the
pending.
present rules. I want it to go on and move forward until we can get the legal opinion. So I just want to be clear. So I support what
You
you're
okay? Okay, good.
All right. So any other questions on ordinance 4772?
No, sir.
Exactly when will we get the legal opinion?
2 weeks, they're saying.
Said before the
Grub?
next workshop.
Commissioner McCullough, I'm going to do my best to have the legal opinion to you by email by the middle of next week. I'm going to do my very best to do that, and I will say if for some reason I don't have it by then, y'all will hear from me by email as to why not.
I mean, as I'm understanding it, I would have actually supported District 3's ordinance had I known that we were going to, vote to support.
I think it is.
You did.
You did support it. You put both of them.
Okay, I thought I voted. Okay,
You did good.
I did good. How long you say it's going to take? A couple of weeks? I'm just trying to get some clarity on this mineral rights thing.
I'm hopeful.
Adjudicated property and all. I'm really confused.
I'm hopeful that y'all will have an opinion from me by the middle of next week, distributed to you by email, which would give the commission time to digest it, if you will, before your next meetings 2 weeks from now.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the original motion, 4772, to move it. We had a motion, we had a second. Any other questions? Mr. Epperson, I see you up
No,
here.
sir. No, sir.
This
Accident.
is pertaining to this. Any other questions? If not, please vote. That passes. Okay. Under new business, I have Ms. McCullough.
Yes, I guess I wanted to ask permission for amend the agenda to include the nomination for Mr. Campbell for Lakeview Waterworks.
We have a motion and a second to add new business, Mr. Campbell and the Lakeview Waterworks. Any discussion?
We're voting to amend the agenda right now.
Right.
If not, please vote. Thinking?
Okay, it's ready.
I think that's what Mr. Epperson was saying a few minutes ago, is thinking too much and crackling too loud.
Yeah, well, let's give them to work on that thinking vote.
All right.
We need some more RAM, don't we?
And that passed.
Oh, it drives.
Okay, now make your motion, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion to add Mr. J.D. Campbell. Recommend him to add him to the board. Lakeview Waterworks District, effective immediately.
Have a motion and a second. And if there's no questions, please vote. And that passes as well. All right, and I had, it's thinking. Mr. Pearson.
I'd like to make a motion to increase the size of the agenda to include resolution number 16 of 2008.
It's second. It's been moved by Commissioner Pearson and second by Commissioner Lynn to expand the agenda to add resolution what?
Resolution 16.
Resolution 16 to the agenda. Everybody please vote. And Mr. Escudé? passes.
If I may, I'd like to move to authorize Caddo Parish Administrator to request the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources Office of State Mineral Board to lease certain mineral rights or mineral interests owned by the parish of Caddo and otherwise providing with respect thereto. That's my motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second by Commissioner Thibodeau. Is there any questions? I have two. I have two commissioners. Go ahead and punch your button, Ms. McCullough. There you go. Mr. Epperson, Mr. Jenkins, Ms. McCullough. Mr. Epperson.
I see on page 3 we have, it's specifying Twin Cities Development LLC. Is this just common language as to whomever the persons are that are trying to acquire the lease? See, had it been another company, that would have been specified in there also.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins.
Mr. President, I'm going to support, but I just reiterate that I would like to see more participation from the commission when it comes to the terms of these leases. And I'm sure that somewhere in due course, maybe we can have a discussion on that as to what we want included and provided for in our leases.
Ms. McCullough.
Okay, as far as I requested that the section that gave a description of what was going on in my district with this, I asked that it be removed. So do I need to amend that or make a recommendation? Because I was told by administration that I could do that, and so I'm assuming, and I was expecting that it be removed until further information was provided from this particular resolution.
Okay. Well, that would be basically the motion that you made, right?
Well, I didn't make a motion to remove. I think if you can only remove what you put on it unless by vote individually. The commission can remove by vote. Just for instance, what you suggested, but this was presented to us in a package in a resolution, and an individual can't take part of the resolution out unless I'm corrected without a vote.
I was told that I could, though.
Yeah, but it wasn't presented by you, and we don't need to argue. But I'm just saying, if it was presented, if it was something I presented, then I could remove it, a portion of it. But this was a resolution in total presented, and so we have to vote on the resolution in total, or if there's a part of the resolution that we want to consider, we have to get a motion and a vote to consider a part of that resolution.
Being removed.
Yes, whatever you want to do with part of it, it would have to be a motion and a vote by the commission to consider whatever part of that motion.
And so at this time, you would need to make an amendment to the original motion.
Yes, I would like to make an amendment to the original motion to proceed with the removal of any properties within districts from this resolution.
Okay, so that'd be a secondary.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynch.
All right.
I have a question.
So, okay, Ms. Lynch.
Do we know which of these parcels are in District 2? Where our folks?
I'm familiar with one. There might be two.
I think it's just one. And
Frozen Wall.
Mr. Glass is, Mr. Lynch, Mr. Glass is attending a graduation today. That's why he's not here.
Okay.
Tend to step up a minute now. We'll get him.
Okay.
Paragraph from the bottom.
Okay. Thank you.
Parcel number 7.
Parcel 7, that's correct.
Parcel 7 removed.
Yeah, that was what I requested on Monday. Until further information was provided in reference to the people rights.
I'm waiting. I think they're waiting on Tim. asked a question to
If I'd
Tim.
like to ask, if I can.
That question's been
You
answered?
said parcel 7, we know, and
Oh, we ready to vote, huh?
yeah,
No.
Oh.
whatever they are, they'll get it.
Your secondary motion that got seconded by Commissioner Lynch was to,
Full district parcels.
You gotta name the,
Section and
name the parcel.
parcel 7, I said that earlier.
all right. I've got Commissioner Lynch still on here, and,
No, I'm not.
okay, Commissioner Pearson.
Any reason, I mean, I'd just like to know why we're removing.
Well, that was,
Request for information.
What,
Let's vote, man.
I requested that information on Monday, Commissioner Pearson,
okay.
okay.
and I'm still waiting for that.
Commissioner Escudate?
I'd just like to make a comment, observe. I don't know why we can't lease it if we can give it away, so that's all I have to
Oh,
say.
stop brooding, John, stop brooding.
I mean, it can come back, I mean, you can bring it back, can't you? In another resolution? It's not like it
Vote,
has to
ma'am.
be, and that was my concern. Is there
Okay,
an
Rose.
urgency? And it wasn't told to me as if, I mean, I spoke with Randy, and it wasn't like, as if though it was an urgency. A matter of urgency.
All right, I have,
But I'm feeling now that it might be.
okay, I have Commissioner Jenkins.
You know, the only concern I got about it, and I certainly respect any commissioner, what they want to do in that particular district. You know, the amount of money you can get on these leases has a lot to do with the timing that they go forward. If you delay them and send them as a small amount or separate amount or something like that, they can make a lot of difference in what will come out of it. So I'm just simply saying, that's something to consider if you take something out of here and want to bring it back later separately. But you may be able to get, if this goes through the process now, may be a whole lot different than what you may get if it comes in by itself later on down the line. So it's just something to consider.
Or more, or more, or more.
But that's true. I mean, but it's a smaller amount by itself as opposed to this total amount that you're giving a lease on. And from all indications I've got from these landmen, the more acres you're putting out there to try to lease, you're generally going to fare better with a sum of money coming back on it. So
Okay.
it's just something to consider.
All right, I have Mr. Escudate.
Call for the question, please.
Second.
Question's been called and seconded. Let's vote on, it's thinking. And a yes vote would be in favor of the motion, a no vote would be against it. Any questions? If not, please vote. I was doing that to make sure I knew what I was doing. So, yes, ma'am.
Someone explained to me on Monday can I explain to this body why I'm concerned about this particular
We'd
parcel?
love to hear that.
Okay. And I thought I brought it forth on Monday, that Rosenwald is very familiar to me in my district. Rosenwald was the very first 15-year lease that came to MLK, District 2. That was fought overwhelmingly. So naturally, if I see Rosenwald, and I'm getting from a lot of the residents, Rosenwald is a developer. So you're saying that as a developer, he's going to profit from?
No, ma'am. That's the whole.
That was the concern. That's what I was trying to find out.
But that's what I'm trying to explain to you, Commissioner. This is parish. This is a lease of parish property, where the money's going to come back into the parish coffers. This is not enriching or giving anything to any developer or holder of those properties there. So
Now we'll vote
I'm
on
fine,
the original
Chairman.
motion.
Okay, we have, sir?
Vote on the original motion.
We vote on the original motion now.
I'm ready to go forward and vote on the original motion.
Okay. Mr. Escudate, I've got you up here?
No.
Or is that from the old
You
one?
didn't clear it.
I don't clear it.
There
There we
you
go.
go. All right.
All right, now we'll vote on the original motion by Commissioner Pearson. Any questions? If not, please vote. And that passes. Is there,
I just told her she don't listen to her attorney at all.
is there any other new business at this time from any other commissioner?
John.
I'm right behind you there, Captain.
Turn your mute button on.
Mr. Jenkins.
Present.
Lynn.
Here.
Ms. Lynch.
Here.
Ms. McCulloch. Mr. Pearson.
President.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Thibodeau.
Here.
Have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll have